Welcome to PC Woods Kids Tech Talk. Today I want to show you the HA07 Ultra, the AMD motherboard from Jetway. This one here actually has an interesting design. Look at it from the top there where it says Hummer. There's a nice long heatsink which covers the voltage regulators, and you can see here the copper heat pipe that goes down to the center where the north bridge is. Now the CPU types that it supports are the standard AM2, AM2 Plus, and the new AM3s. I'm going to be installing on this test system a brand new AM3 Phenom 2 quad core 810. Now this one is running at 2.6 gigahertz and it's locked. The core multiplier is locked at 13x. So we're going to see if we can overclock it a little bit and see how friendly that BIOS is. So here's your Phenom 2, the latest, and the BIOS hopefully will detect it. Now the DDR2 support is pretty standard, so all your latest DDR2 RAMs will install as well. There's your 24-pin connector, and beside it there's an IDE and floppy drive connector, of course, for your Ultra DMA and your floppy. Interesting little switches here for resetting and turning the power for tweaking when you're overclocking, so you don't have to go back and forth outside of the case. 6 serial ATAs, so there's your SATA connectors, 6 of them right there on the board. Okay, and they have RAID support as well, of course. Now looking at it and swinging it over to the other side here, there's an interesting LED on that side. You can see it right there. We're going to talk about that in a second, but that's used for debugging. Now on the other side here, we've got 4 USB headers. Okay, so these are USB. We got 4 on board, and you've got also the serial header and the CD audio and your HD audio headers. So this does have HD audio, of course. It's the Realtek chipset and a gigabyte chipset as well for your LAN. Look at that Molex power connector there, very interesting. I've never seen that before on a board. Here's your Crossfire setup, okay, and if you install here a GPU card, and instead of using the onboard, you will have to use the switch card on that second Crossfire so that it runs it at 16x. Okay, now looking at it here from the top where the voltage regulator is, you can see the high quality capacitors. These are solid high quality capacitors, and that heat sink again with that copper pipe that goes all the way down through the middle where that Northbridge 790GX chipset resides, as well as the GPU is under there, which has a 128 megabyte side port buffer, by the way. Here's also the Southbridge 750 chipset. Okay, so you can see that there, nice little heat sink on it. Swinging it from the back now where you see the PS2 connectors for your mouse and keyboard, there's also an HDMI and also the regular 15-pin VGA and DVI outputs. Now behind those outputs there's an eSATA connector, okay, for your external SATA drives if you have one of those. 4 USB connectors, and there's your Ethernet as well, and your 8-channel audio that I mentioned a second ago. There's your outputs for that. Okay, now also if we swing the board to the back, you can see the color of it. It's a dark brown board. There's the plate for the CPU, which you could remove, of course, to install your own coolers. Like I mentioned, this is an interesting layout, very nice looking, that's for sure. Okay, and it's time to install it. So I went through a couple hours here of doing some cable management, trying to organize it and have it neatly laid out so you can see it in action. Okay, this is the test system that we're talking about. Now look at that LED. There's the temperature reading. I'm actually running it at full load now, and you can see the temperature rising. So it actually tells you the temperature when you have it on. Now when you're booting, if you're trying to overclock and you get errors, it will give you some hex codes that you can look up in the manual and see what they mean. So I've been tweaking this test system back and forth, trying to overclock it. It gives you an error or something, or if it pauses, you can look it up in the manual based on the code that it gives you on that LED. I did overclock it a little bit to 2.7 gigahertz. Like I said, this CPU that I have is locked, but configuring the DDR2 at 1066 was easy. The 3D Vantage results that I got 9492 were very good compared to the Phenom 9950 running at 3 gigahertz, which was a little bit less than that. So this was actually a faster PC overall. Now the kit itself comes with all the cables and manuals that you need. So you've got 4 SATA connectors. You've got Molex to SATA power. You've got also the I/O plate, the CD, the manual, the switch card that I said that you need to have in there so that you can occupy that second Crossfire slot so it runs your first video card as 16X. And it's a good budget board for the price. I mean, for what you're getting, it's quite good, right? So if you're looking to spend less than $100, right, on a AM3 board, then maybe this is for you, right? So I'd like to thank Jetway for providing the board for review, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.